How does it feel to take your career and put it into a show? What's that process like?
Well, it's daunting, and you look at it, and because we have clips in the show, and I'm looking back thinking, oh my goodness, and of course all I'm seeing are the mistakes that I made and little,
Things that you're
little
picking apart.
glitches. Right, exactly.
Isn't that weird how we do that? We go back and look at our work and we're harder on ourselves than anybody else.
It's so true. And but what is it? What is that saying? The looked at life is not a life worth living. I don't know, but I think any person worth their salt does look at themselves, and they also should, take in the joy of their life and the things that you've done right. I mean, there are certain places where I go, that's really good.
And do you notice things that you didn't notice before?
When we run the clips in the show, I'm watching Penny for the first time. I mean, and she's making me laugh. I'm not watching myself too much. I'm watching her. So there's a lot of happiness there in that.
Laverne and Shirley ran for what, 7 years?
Well, it ran for 8.5 years.
And you were part of it
the
for
last
7?
year I didn't do because I was starting my family.
And I used to work at David Letterman, right? So I look back at that as one of my...
Used to work on David Letterman?
Yeah.
Ooh, what fun.
I look back at that moment in time, and I know it was a long period of time, but it feels like just a blip on this radar screen. Is that what Laverne and Shirley feels like for you?
At times, yes, it does. When I think about it, though, it was a whole other family I had. Like a whole other life within a life. And I mean, isn't that the way it is with major parts of our life? They're parts, they're lives within a life.
That's
it's
right.
A life within a life. So, but everything else that's going on around it, you try to be in the present and appreciate the things that are happening to you now, which I certainly do.
That show came out when I think I was born, 1977.
When you were just a little baby.
But they would play it before and after cartoons, so I feel like it was new to me. Is that weird to see different generations enjoying your work?
So I was picking up my daughter from school one day when she was in grade school, and all these little girls came running up and they said, "Oh, you're on Laverne and Shirley. Oh, you're Shirley." And I realized that they were watching it on TV Land. And so it had this whole other life. It had this whole other generation, which was, very, very complimentary. And so it was really great. And then it had, after that, it had another life because it went out to all the cable. Because when we did Laverne and Shirley, it wasn't on cable. There was no cable.
Right.
When we were shooting Laverne and Shirley. So it had this cable life, and it just sort of keeps going. And every now and then in the grocery store, I'm recognized. But just every now and then now. But no, it's been such a blessing.
But those shows all crossed over, like Mork and Mindy and Happy Days and all those shows.
Right. Over at Paramount, it was like a campus. It was like a college campus, because next door we had Happy Days, then Mork and Mindy, and then there was Taxi. All the shows were up and running then, and it was so much fun. It was you come out and you'd see everybody from all the other shows, and so it was so much fun.
But that was fun. What brought you to Boca Raton?
Well, the Wick Theater and doing my show here, and I'm just very grateful for that and very excited about it.
What excites you about it?
Just being on stage again, after a long time, it's just, there's nothing like it. And just seeing people and just the socializing of it after all that we've all gone through, just being with other people and getting to perform, it's such a blessing. And hopefully it'll be a lot of fun for everybody.
I was at a crawfish festival this weekend and a Pride Market. And the people there were like, we're not necessarily here for the event. We just want to see people again. Is that what you're feeling like?
Exactly. Well, I'm here for the Crawfish Festival, actually. I haven't seen crawfish since I lived in Texas.
Yeah.
So, yes, it is. It's about that exchange, you know. I mean, we all need to be in one room again together and have fun and, like I said, socialize. And
I welcome you back again here. If you're new, consider subscribing, liking the video, and also share the video on different platforms and with different people. Now, the very devastating and sad news coming in is that Cindy Williams, the legendary actress, actually who was really famous for her portrayal of Shirley on the hugely popular Laverne Shirley movie, has reportedly died. The legendary actress Cindy Williams died. It's really very heartbreaking. The family has come out on Facebook or social media to release an emotional and intense statement that actually read that the passing of our kind, hilarious mother, that is Mrs. Cindy Williams, has brought us insurmountable sadness that could never be truly expressed. It continues, the statement, that is it, and they continued and said, knowing and loving her has been our joy and a huge privilege. She was one of a kind, very beautiful, very generous, and she possessed a brilliant sense of humor and a glittering spirit that everyone loved. To be honest, personally, I agree with most of the things they said in that statement. Really, Cindy Williams was really very hilarious. If you look at that sitcom, that is Laverne Shirley, she really portrayed a huge talent with regards to her humor, her comedy. Such a very talented lady. So William played alongside Penny Marshall on the popular sitcom, like I've told you, for over 8 seasons. That was from 1976 to 1983, and that sitcom was known as Laverne and Shirley, and it was a spin-off of the Happy Days. The show had a ton of success, of course, and at one point I remember it became one of those most watched sitcoms in the United States, and netting close to 6 Golden Globes nominations and 1 Emmy nomination. Williams later alone left the Laverne Shirley sitcom during the 8th season, and she went on actually to conceive a baby with her husband. And however, her career saw her take on a couple of projects on the Broadway, and she made a couple of actually guest appearances on the shows like The 8 Simple Rules, and even reunited with her longtime friend, that was Penny Marshall, on an episode of Sam and Cat, and that was in, I remember, 2013-2014. Williams worked with so many of the Hollywood's most elite directors in her film career, and that preceded her full-time move to television, appearing in George Cukor, that was in 1977, Travels with My Auntie, George Lucas in 1973, American Graffiti, and Francis Ford Coppola's Of the Conversation from 1974. We send our warmest condolences to her family, friends, and everyone who was close to her. R.I.P. the Queen.